My name is Anthony Cavall. I built a time machine in my garage. Last time I was in 1775, the machine just stopped, and I was back home. No warning, no explanation. I still don't understand how it fully works. Where it sends me next, I can't control. But there is someone I can't forget. A girl by the harbor. She stood there looking at the water and quietly said, "One day, we will be free." I started the machine again. In the darkness, a number flashed, 1776. When I opened my eyes, the cold hit me instantly. Not just winter, a real cold that cuts straight to the bone. I was standing at the edge of a camp, and what I saw was not an army. People in torn clothes, some without shoes, standing in the snow. The fires were barely burning. There was no wood left. These were farmers, carpenters, blacksmiths, ordinary people who picked up muskets and decided that was enough. That's when I saw him, James, 17 years old, thin as a shadow. He was sitting by a nearly dead fire, wrapping his feet in a piece of old cloth. I walked over and asked, "This is the American Army?" He looked up, didn't take offense, just quietly answered, "We're not soldiers. But if not us, then who?" Then a silhouette appeared on a horse in the distance. James didn't even stand up, just looked over and quietly said, "Washington." I expected to see a hero, the man from the portraits, but he looked like someone who hadn't slept in weeks, exhausted, but straight. And not a single soldier went home. James watched him and said, "He could have left. He has money, land, a family. But he's here. And as long as he's here, so are we." That night, Washington gave the order. Cross the Delaware, at night, in a storm, through the ice. James looked at me and said only, "Let's go." The river was black. The ice cracked under our feet. The wind hit like a punch. People were silent. Nobody complained. Nobody asked why. They just walked. When we reached the other side, it was starting to get light. Trenton was right in front of us. Washington raised his hand. The army stopped. Silence. And suddenly, "Forward!" Everything exploded at once. Screaming, gunfire, smoke. James ran with everyone else. I tried to keep going, but my legs wouldn't move. I stepped back behind a tree, away from the people, away from the smoke. And then the tunnel opened. The last thing I saw, James running forward, not looking back. And then, darkness. The tunnel closed. In the darkness, a number flashed. 1776. The same year. But something was different. The machine had thrown me backwards, 6 months back, to the summer before Trenton. When I opened my eyes, I felt warmth immediately. After that cold by the Delaware, it hit me like a wall. Philadelphia, summer, a different city, a different mood. I knew what was coming. Trenton, victory, a turning point in the war. But I kept seeing his face as he ran forward. He was just a kid, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. The streets buzzed with conversation. People gathered in groups outside shops, outside churches, outside taverns. In the hands of many, the same thin pamphlet. I recognized it immediately. Common Sense, Thomas Paine. And then I heard a familiar voice, a woman's voice, confident, loud. I turned around and saw her, Abigail. The same girl from the Boston Harbor, but now she looked different. Not the quiet girl whispering by the water. She was standing on a crate in the middle of the street, reading out loud to the people around her, old, young, those who couldn't read themselves. I walked closer and listened. She was reading about the king, about how no king has the right to rule over free people, about how monarchy is nothing but inherited tyranny. The people around her were silent. Some nodded, some wiped their eyes. When she finished, I walked up to her. She recognized me immediately, a little surprised. "You're here again?" I didn't know what to say. She didn't wait for an answer, just said, "Thomas Paine wrote what everyone was thinking, but was too afraid to say out loud." I asked how she ended up in Philadelphia. She was quiet for a moment. "My brother never came back. My mother died last winter. Boston wasn't home anymore." She looked down at the pamphlet in her hands. "So I went where something was happening." For the next few days, Abigail walked me through the city. Philadelphia was alive. People had come from all 13 colonies. They gathered in one building, argued, shouted, and argued again. Abigail stopped outside the building and said, "In there, they're deciding whether we're ready to say it out loud." I knew what she meant. Independence. On the 4th of July, we stood outside. Abigail wasn't in the hall. She didn't sign any documents. Her name wasn't on any list. She just stood there and waited, like thousands of others. When the news came out into the street, people screamed. Someone fired into the air. Someone cried. Someone just stood in silence. Abigail didn't scream, didn't cry. She just closed her eyes for a moment and then quietly said, "Brother, we did it." Then she looked at me, and for the first time, her eyes held no anger, no fear, just exhaustion, and something that looked like hope. But this isn't over. Now the real war begins. I stepped to the side, around the corner of a building, away from the crowd, and then the ground fell away. The last thing I saw, Abigail watching me, not looking away.
The tunnel opened. In the darkness, a number flashed. 1777. Forest. Snow. The smell of sickness. Tents full of holes. Fires barely alive. Men lying on the ground. Valley Forge. I found him between the tents. Hoarse. Weak. But alive. Samuel. Same farmer from Lexington. Same stubborn eyes. But now, half the man he used to be. He said, "We won at Saratoga. A real victory. The British surrendered an entire army." He coughed, looked down at his feet, wrapped in cloth. "And now we're dying here from the cold. Is this what freedom looks like?" One morning, Samuel pulled me up early. A stranger stood at the edge of the camp. Prussian, Baron von Steuben. He started shouting commands in German. Nobody understood a word. But then, something happened. Tired, broken men started moving. Together, in step, like soldiers. Von Steuben shouted again. They moved again. A crowd of farmers was becoming an army, right in front of my eyes. Washington watched from a distance, and for the first time in weeks, almost smiled. That evening, Samuel sat by the fire. "You know what's the scariest thing?" I asked what. Not the British, not the cold. He looked into the fire. "When people just go home, when they decide it's not worth it." But we stayed. The tunnel opened. In the darkness, 1781, Virginia, autumn, warm air but no silence. Cannons, smoke, men running forward through the darkness. I ran with them. The ground shook. The sky lit up. Someone fell beside me. We kept running. The British line was breaking. And then, a sound I'll never forget. Silence. Sudden. Complete. A man stood nearby, looking down at the field. He turned around. Samuel, older, but alive. Valley Forge didn't kill me, though it really tried. We watched the last British soldiers lay down their weapons. 6 years since Lexington. Feels like an entire lifetime. In the morning, a white flag. Samuel didn't shout, didn't celebrate, just stood there, like a man finally breathing after 6 years. I didn't dream of victory. I dreamed my children would be free. I stepped to the side and saw her, Abigail, at the edge of the hill. She wasn't surprised, like she'd been waiting. I told you, one day we will be free. The garage, silence. The machine hummed quietly. I thought about James, who ran forward and never looked back. About Samuel, who simply didn't go home. About Abigail, who lost everything, but never lost her faith. 250 years later, people still argue about freedom and still don't know what to do with it. But they have it, because 3 people simply didn't go home. I looked at the machine. It was waiting, and I still didn't know where it would send me next.